The Indiana Pacers were out muscled and out hustled last night in Madison Square Garden. Coach Rick Carlisle was ejected from the game. OG Anunoby might be out for game 3. And Josh Hart played all 48 minutes. There is so much to talk about. But first, what do you think about the gamesmanship by Rick Carlisle and him crying to the media that small market teams deserve a fair shot, regardless of where they're playing?
I don't know what that mumbo jumbo was all about. Rick Carlisle, just get your head back in the game. The game is over. Move on to game 3 in Indiana. I don't even know why he was tripping about that. I don't know why he
Yeah.
thinks he had an unfair shot. At it wasn't. If he's talking about the last foul, Hartenstein, where they claimed he double dribbled and he didn't, get over it and move on. What type of leadership are you showing when you can't even move on to the next game? Like, right? I'm quite sure he tells us his players during the game, move on. When a foul happens and a foul doesn't go their way, you got to go to the next play. Well, that's what I'm gonna tell him. Go to the next play. Like, nah.
Right, right. I know, huh? Yeah, because it was so, first of all, major respect to the Indiana Pacers players because obviously the media asked Tyrese Halliburton about, the refs and the unfair whistle or whatever that, Rick Carlisle was talking about. And Tyrese was like, look, let's not pretend that's why we lost the game. And then
Exactly.
They asked TJ McConnell the same thing. And he said, we love Rick. Stand by your coach for one. Don't
Yeah.
throw him under the bus like,
I agree.
Anthony Davis did, Coach Ham and stuff like that, right? Man,
Right.
shout out to the Pacers for just staying together as a unit. They know that their backs are against the wall. I think they do have a disadvantage because of the small market versus large market. I had talked about it in previous episodes, but you still got to go out there and play the game. And now you guys are going to Indiana. So hopefully your crowd can get behind you like Madison Square Garden crowd did with the New York Knicks. And you guys can tie this series up. There's still hope for the Pacers.
Still hope for the Pacers. While we're so busy worried about a play and the unfair advantage that small markets have, let's talk about why Miles Turner only had 6 points. Let's go there, right? Let's go there why Neesmith only had 6 points. You want to know why you didn't win when the Knicks starting lineup, everybody was in double digits. Let's talk about why Jalen Brunson didn't play second quarter, and that was y'all opportunity to really, go get a huge lead. When he came back in the third quarter, Jalen Brunson, he wouldn't have been able to catch y'all, right? So I'm with Tyree Halliburton. Don't act like. Let's just not pretend, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at Miles Turner too. Like, you gonna get a board? I need you to get a board because he only has 7 rebounds and he's like 6'11", 250. Josh
Nothing.
Hart, 6'4", 15 rebounds in this game. He out rebounded about 2 to 3 Pacers players all by himself. How does that happen? Hustle. You got to
You
want it. In playoffs, you got to want it. You can't stand around. The ball is just not going to bounce in your hands. And that's what I'm seeing from Josh Hart. For a guy who plays 48 minutes, it is just so crazy to me that he plays with that much energy, effort, and force throughout the entire game. Does he play a physical type of basketball? Absolutely. Have the refs miss some calls on both sides of the basketball?
yes,
Yes. Yes.
and it will continue to happen. It's not going to change. I don't care how many for the lifespan of basketball, unfair calls, missed calls will continue to happen. It's not going to change the game. So the only thing that the players can control is how they show up, how they hustle, how if their shot is not going off, they, you know, uh, dial into defense, all those things, right? Stop waiting. And the thing about Josh Hart, let me tell you, that man, heart and soul of the Knicks, he embodies that. 48 minutes, this game and last game. My question though is, when will he get his rest? He got to be telling him, I got it, y'all. I got it. Because there's no way they're not asking him to sit down. Because if we think about it, I don't want him to be exhausted when they get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Is his usage rate too high?
Yes, it is. And Coach Tibbs, I mean, he's known for running his players into the dirt, right? Playing them high minutes, practicing a lot. I get all that. But now the stakes are high. This is when
Yeah.
it matters, right?
Yeah.
There is not another player on the New York Knicks playing 48 minutes. The next
No.
highest person, at least in last night's game, was Dante DiVincenzo at
Mm-hmm.
44.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Brunson only played 32 minutes because he could not play in the second quarter.
Right.
Hardenstein, 39 minutes. That's, I don't know. I mean, Coach Tibbs is only going 3 down in his bench, and you only had Precious and Miles McBride, and Alec Burks only came in because Jalen couldn't go, and he was ineffective. I think Coach Tibbs needs to figure out, how do we get Shake Milton some runs? What's up with Jericho Sims? Start to plug and play some.
Yeah.
You need to go a little deeper in the bench, because the Pacers, they can go 9 deep. Obi Toppin has been phenomenal. He is having
Oh
himself a
wow.
series,
Yeah. 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 It's really been amazing. And if he continues that production and Miles Turner and Neesmith turn it on, then the Indiana Pacers may be able to get a win. I will tell you this. I did notice that they changed how they, meaning the Pacers, changed how they utilize Halliburton at the start of the game. If you notice, he wasn't the primary ball handler. I think
Mm-hmm.
that was a way to get him more involved in shooting and encouraging that, because he ended up with 34 points. I don't know if he would have had 34 points had he been the primary ball handler, because I think his first thought is always to get it to somebody else. And
Right.
they need Tyrese Halliburton to be more effective in both categories, in points and in assists, right? That's what he was doing prior to his hamstring injury. So I like the fact that they utilize him a little bit different. However, if nobody else shows up to the party, all of his effort is in vain. And that's kind of what happened. That's kind of how I felt about the Pacers last night. I'm like, Tyrese Halliburton finally got his shot going. And here you have it, where Miles Turner didn't have his. I'm like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't just Miles though. Pascal Siakam, he was
Oh
off
my
as
God. Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. But can we talk about TJ McConnell's defense on Jalen Brunson? It was so intense. I love to see it. I hope Rick Carlisle goes with TJ McConnell over Nimhard in the final moments against Jalen Brunson, if Jalen Brunson has it going in Indiana, because that's
Mhm.
going to ignite the crowd. And if you're the Pacers, you need every ounce of energy that you can possibly muster up against this New York Knicks team.
I will say this. I agree with you on that. But as tough as TJ McConnell's defense is on Jalen Brunson, you still can't stop him. Jalen Brunson is going to get his bucket. That's it. That's what's going to be. You hope you slow him down. You hope you slow him down. The thing about it, the Nova Knicks, y'all, those three dudes, I what these other teams gonna do with that? Like for real, the Pacers will really contain them. I don't think so. I don't think
Nah,
so.
the three of them totaled 76 points. We're not even talking about the big shots that DiVincenzo made, or the defensive plays that Josh Hart made, or the way that Jalen Brunson can get in the paint and do his little floater, do
Mhm,
his move, get to the
mhm.
rim. It is just, that's why Coach Tibbs needs to be very careful with their
Yes,
minutes. I don't think he
yes.
needs to play them that hard against the Indiana Pacers, but he will need to play them a lot against the Boston Celtics should they advance to the next round.
Mhm. And
So
that's what I'm
he
saying.
needs
There
to,
has to be a
yeah.
point where he needs to scale back on minutes for real. Because although I think that the Pacers are giving them a run for their money, I still think that there's so many other players on the New York Knicks that are making an impact that they can at least give rest to Josh Hart, a little bit more rest to Dante DiVincenzo, and then
Mm-hmm.
also for Jalen Brunson, just so they can try to be ready should they advance to the next round. Because if not, they're going to be exhausted because they are on 110% from the opening opening tip. It's amazing to watch. It's amazing, and I'm talking about from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, you are seeing the same effort. Not like the beginning of the game on, and then you start to trail off as you get to the fourth quarter. That's not what the
Mhm.
Nova Knicks are all about. They are on immediately and throughout. It's amazing. And you know what?
Yeah.
I would be remiss. It's actually the Nova Knicks plus one. Hartenstein. I tell you, that man. I like what I see from him. So it's Nova Knicks plus one. That's how I see it.
Okay. And I would say my plus one is OG Ananobi. Now, if they are going to be without OG
Mhm.
for game 3 or moving forward, hamstrings are tricky. Look at
They
Tyrese
are.
Halliburton, right? They're tricky. It take a long time to get back to normal. OG
Mhm.
plays so powerful. He's just a powerful player. If they don't have him for game 3, I think the Knicks might be in a little bit of trouble because let's just think about it, right? They already are playing without Bogdanovich. Julius Randle out for the season. Mitchell Robinson, now he's
Mhm.
out. Brunson might have issues with his foot moving forward. Who
Mhm.
knows? And then without OG, it's like, oh shoot.
Mhm.
Wait, what is Tom Thibodeau going to come up with next? Because he hasn't shown any type of faith in his bench, outside of Precious McBride and a little bit of Bird. Who else you gonna lean on if OG goes down?
Exactly. Exactly. I really hope he's able to play. If he doesn't play in game 3, I will be okay. But he will need to most definitely play in game 4 and moving forward. They need him. And now if they say, you know what, we're going to sit OG out because they are that confident that they'll move forward to play against Boston, I can understand that as well because they really
Hmm.
want him to be on the floor. I would rather have him play. I would rather him sit out the rest of this series and have him ready for Boston should they advance. That's what I would do because he will be
Okay.
critical there, more critical there than he would be with the Pacers. Although the Pacers need his production, period. But if you're talking about what you're going to go forego, what you're going to sacrifice just to make sure that you have maximum capacity for the Eastern Conference Finals, then I can understand them sitting him down for the rest of the
Hmm.
series. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of talk has been about, the refs, right? And not calling fouls. You got Coach Rick Carlisle sending all of these clips to the NBA for them to review as they get ready to go home to Indiana. I thought it was interesting in last night's game that the Indiana Pacers had 17 opportunities at the free throw line. Well, they missed 7 free throws. They lost the game by 9 points. So, I mean, really, when you think about it, had the Indiana Pacers made all of their free throws, and maybe if they would have got a lucky bounce on one of them lay-ins, or if Miles Turner would have just put
Hmm.
forth a little bit more energy,
Hmm. They could have won the game.
there's a good possibility that they
Mhm.
could have won that game and the series will be
Yeah.
tied 1-1.
I agree. And Pascal Siakam, you can't miss free throws. Not 2 in a row. You can't do that. That's a no. Don't ever do that again. That's what. To your point, you had opportunities to make sure that you were on top. They had a chance to win this game, regardless of the call at the end of the game. Regardless, they didn't do it. They didn't do it.
Nope.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So the Knicks, they get the victory 130 to 121. Now the series shifts to Indiana, and I, am looking for the Indiana Pacers to at least win the first game, win game
Hmm.
3. You're at home. The refs are going to. They're probably going to call the game really close, which unfortunately is going to change the feel of this series. But that's what's
Yeah.
going to happen because Carlisle sent the clips to the office, right? He went to the
Hmm.
principal's office on on the New York Knicks. So that's what I'm looking for. I do hope the Pacers can win one game so that we can extend this series because I'm enjoying it to its utmost. I'm telling you.
So good. It's so good. And the Indiana Pacers crowd will have to bring it. You're gonna have to bring it because the New York Knicks crowd, it's a party. I'm gonna need for them to bring it. So we'll see how they do. But I think that if Halliburton can continue on this streak that he's on, and if we can get more involvement from Miles Turner and then the other players, I think the Pacers will be okay when they're at home. I think so.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at tonight's games.
We have the first matchup is against it's the Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. This is game 2. So the Celtics are up 1 in this series, and I'm quite sure the Cleveland Cavaliers hope that they can secure a win in Boston, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
I don't
Y'all,
see it.
this the Cavs, they're gonna make some adjustments. I'm sure Coach Bicker's staff was in the room trying to figure it out. But it's gonna be a waste of time. Boston.
Yeah,
Boston wins
I think
tonight.
so. I agree 100%. And then the second matchup is going to be the one that I'm really waiting for. It's the Dallas Mavericks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now that one right there, and the Oklahoma City Thunder is actually up one in the series. So I think this is the biggest one that's going to be happening tonight. And I just think that OKC has a great potential to secure another win and bring the series 2-0 in their favor. I really think so.
Oh, if they
Mm-hmm.
do that, all the
Mm-hmm.
pressure is on the Dallas Mavericks. But you know what?
Yes.
Is Luka Doncic, is he injured?
Yes. I think he's suffering from a sprained knee, and he may be getting off some type of cold or something, some type of sickness. So, yep.
Mm, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's why you got Kyrie. But okay, so I'm looking for Shea Gilgeous to play with more of a chip on his shoulder, seeming as though he was not selected for MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going with the Thunder in this game too. Oh my goodness. 2 games to 0. If they can pull this off, this is going to be amazing for
Ooh,
them.
I sure hope Blue Dart locks up Luca again. But if Luca has a phenomenal game, then the chances are, you know, that the Mavs could pull out a win. But Luca's gonna have to go lights out in order for it to happen. Lights out.